What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, and it is good to have you with me in the lounge today. Now, look, if this is your first time to the lounge, just know that the Poindexter Lounge is a place for nerds. It's a place where you and me and my crew, meaning all of you, my nerd family, can get together and talk about the things that we love. Things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, and so much more. And if those are things that get you excited, if those are things that you're all about, then please hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you become part of this growing nerd family. Look, today we're going to be talking a little bit about something. Look, it's a very serious subject, and I want you to know right up front that I take this subject very serious. And we have to be careful sometimes on YouTube, the things that we say. I wish that we could just just come out and say what things are sometimes, but YouTube has a funny way with their algorithm of trying to limit videos that use certain language and stuff. And I get it to a certain point because things can be very sensitive. But that being said, sometimes you need to be able to talk about stuff. And I don't always agree with the way that YouTube does the things that they do, but it is what it is. So today we're going to be talking about a serious subject that was brought up in the movie Wonder Woman 1984. This is something that people that I actually stream with have brought up. And, at first, when I first heard the very idea, it concerned me a little bit, but I started thinking a little bit more about it. And that's why I wanted to make this video. And that is, we're talking about this guy. First of all, spoilers will be in this video for Wonder Woman 1984. So if you haven't seen Wonder Woman 1984, you may want to come back to this video and then you'll understand where we're going with this. And I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody. But in the movie Wonder Woman 1984, Steve Trevor is brought back because Wonder Woman Diana has a wish. She uses her wish to bring back Steve Trevor because she misses Steve and she loves Steve. And she's had a hard time adjusting all these years to being alone and not having Steve in her life. She came from literally a land where there were no men. I've heard people talk about, well, like, why would she wait all this time? You're going to tell me that she wouldn't find another love in all that time? Yeah, because she literally loved one man. She had that kind of exposure to one man, those relations, those feelings for one man, because she came from Themyscira where there were no men, there were no male-female relations. So for her to come into the world of men and then experience Steve and get to know him and fall in love with him in the time that she had with him, and then for Steve to make the sacrifice that he made in the first movie, to save everyone, that had a lasting impact on her. And Wonder Woman is not somebody that just needed to have a relationship with a man. So I think that anyone saying, and there's people that I respect greatly who say, well, I don't believe that she wouldn't have another relationship. You're going to tell me she wouldn't have another relationship, she'd just be lonely. Yes, I completely buy that idea because she didn't need a man. She wasn't just looking for a man. She didn't come to the world of men looking for a relationship with a man. She found Steve. She had Steve in her life, and therefore nobody else would do. But when we come to Wonder Woman 1984, we have an interesting situation because Steve is brought back through the Wishing Stone. And when he comes back, he doesn't come back looking as himself to the rest of the world. He comes back as this guy, basically, and they kind of portray it as if he's living this guy's life. He wakes up in this guy's apartment. He looks like this guy. He's functioning as this guy. Everybody else, when they look at him, they see this guy. So it brings up the fact that he ends up meeting up with Diana in the movie, and they end up having sex. And so the question has been purported: if Wonder Woman has relations with Steve, but it's not really Steve, it's this guy's body, isn't she in fact taking advantage of this man because he cannot consent? He cannot consent to those relations. So in fact, is she in turn basically forcing herself upon this man? I take that very seriously, and I take that topic very seriously. Anybody who would forcibly have relations with somebody, and I have to say that very carefully so that the video doesn't get, uh, taken down or limited. But you all know what I'm talking about. And that's a very serious problem that needs to be taken seriously, and people need to be listened to, and people need to be heard when those kind of things take place. And I thought a lot about this. I thought a lot about this topic and whether or not this would constitute that kind of situation. And at first, honestly, I thought, man, it looks pretty bad. It really does look pretty bad for this situation. Like how could that be written that way? Because it's just as bad the opposite way. We see all the time where there are teachers who go to jail because they take advantage of their young students who are not at the age where they can consent to those types of relationships. And I've heard people jokingly kind of, joke about it and act like, oh, well, yeah, but it's Diana. Would you even be upset? Here's the point. It's your body, and your body is yours. Your body is yours to determine who can have that kind of access to it. So therefore, at first, I'm thinking, yeah, man, this looks pretty bad. But then I started thinking about another situation that is very similar to this. And it's funny because I did not see my good friend Andre Nicotina. He did a spoiler review of Wonder Woman, and he actually started out saying this reminded him of the same thing that it reminded me of. And so I was planning on making this video, and I was talking to Tiff-tastic today about it. And Tiff says, "Oh, you mean like what Andre was thinking?" I was like, "What are you talking about? What Andre's thinking?" She goes, "He was talking about the same thing." So I went back and watched his video, and I saw this. And yes, he had the same thoughts that I did, that this was very much similar to a quantum leap situation where you have someone who leaps into another person's body, so to speak, and we're going to get into that in just a second, leaps into someone else, takes over their identity for a time. Andre was onto something there, but Andre did not go as far and as deep as I'm going to go in this video and explain to you why Wonder Woman did not take advantage of this man if we go by quantum leap logic. And that's what I really want to do. First of all, if you've never watched Quantum Leap is a must see. You must see it. I have it all on physical media. You have got to see Quantum Leap. It's some of the best television that has ever been written. It's some of the best television that's ever been acted. Scott Bakula is immaculate in this, as well as Dean Stockwell. The show is fantastic. But here you go. Each episode started out with this. Theorizing that one could time travel within his own lifetime, Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished. He woke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own, and driven by an unknown force to change history for the better. His only guide on this journey is Al, an observer from his own time, who appears in the form of a hologram that only Sam can see and hear. And so Dr. Beckett finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home. That is the setup for Quantum Leap. He leaps from person to person and tries to put right what once went wrong. Now, can you see the similarities here where Steve Trevor awakes to find himself looking in a mirror at an image that is not his own, right? So since this is the only kind of thing that I think we really have any kind of basis for this, I want to share with you some logic. Now, Sam, during this time, like I said, he stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and he vanished back in time. But there's a holding room. This right here that I'm showing you right now is a holding room. If you watch the show, Sam steps into the accelerator and he vanishes out of the holding room. And he leaped into many different people. I mean, he leaped into some rock stars. He did all kinds of different episodes where he was all kinds of different people. And had to play different roles, different parts. I mean, he even played many women in this, and that's one of the things I want to talk about. He played many women in the show and did it well. He even at one point leaped into Lee Harvey Oswald and had some issues there. But the question is if he leaped into somebody, where did that person go? You know, where did that person end up in this? Well, it showed that they, in turn, leaped into the holding room where Sam initially left from. So when Sam was in the past doing what he needed to do, he did not actually leap. It was in the show that he did not actually leap into the body of these people. Yes, he looked like them, but he was not them. He was not their body. He was himself. And what people saw was an aura or a hologram of that person that they were expecting to see. And this was shown greatly in the fact that he once leaped into a pregnant woman who was having to give birth, and Sam was afraid because he didn't have the parts to give birth. Yet he could feel the pregnancy. He had the pregnancy, but yet he didn't have the parts to deliver the baby. And so he was trying to get the thing right that went wrong before he got to that 0 hour where the baby was coming. And that was like part of the show. It was part of the episode, that it was a very important thing that he got out of there before that, because it was going to mess him up. Also, at some point, Sam, there was a whole trilogy of episodes, 3 episodes where he leaped into different times where on the same people, and he ended up having sexual relations with a woman. From that, they had a daughter who later on, it was revealed, worked for him at Project Quantum Leap in the future. He changed the past, and now he had a daughter named Sam. Here's the interesting thing. It was his biological daughter, because it was not him in some other guy's body. It was his body. It was literally him, but this aura, this hologram looked like the other person. You get where I'm going with this? This is something that was touched upon over and over again in Quantum Leap. And I love the way that they did that, because it shows that he was not that actual person. He was just acting as that person. So from this, since this is the only type of thing that I think we have to go on for something like this, I think we can safely say that when Steve Trevor came back, he talked about how he remembered flying. And then all of a sudden, it's all kind of a blur to him, right? He thought a good place, and then he came back. Here's an interesting thing about Sam Beckett. When Sam Beckett would leap, he got what they referred to as Swiss cheese brain. He was missing parts. He was missing pieces, and he was always disoriented when he first came back, because he couldn't remember key parts. Like he couldn't remember things about his actual life in the future. Project Quantum Leap, people in his life, people that he loved, relationships that he had whole parts of that were missing completely. And he'd be disoriented and have to get his wits about him. But there were things that were revealed through the course of the 5 years of the show that showed that he completely was unaware of things that were going on in the future. So it's very, very similar to what Steve Trevor experiences in Wonder Woman 1984. And therefore, I say based on this reasoning, I think we can say that it was not necessarily Steve Trevor's possession of somebody else's body. He looked like that person. He was that person. But obviously, this guy was not there. Where was this guy? He wasn't there. His spirit or soul or whatever you want to say had to be someplace else. So what I suggest to you is wherever Steve was before this, in this afterlife, whatever it was, is where this man went, aka the holding place, like in Quantum Leap. When Sam would leap out and the other person would leap in, they would go to the future. And there were many times that Sam needed information, and he would send Dean Stockwell's character back to the holding area to talk to the person in there to get information even. So there you have it, folks. I know there's a lot of people who are all up in arms in this. And look, like I said, I take this situation very seriously. But this is a situation that I think people just don't understand how this is working. And they're thinking that Steve Trevor is actually becoming this guy, whatever his name is. And it's even evidence later where, Diana, she has a connection with Steve where she is actually seeing Steve. So I believe that she's seeing Steve. I believe that she's seeing through the aura. She eventually sees through that aura, that hologram of who Steve is, to see the real Steve. At first she doesn't, but she ends up seeing through that and seeing, because she just at one point says, I just see you. So there you go. We have a full spoiler review coming up here pretty soon, but I wanted to get this video out first and see what you all thought. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Let me know if this makes sense to you, or if you're still angry and you still think that this guy was done wrong and that he didn't have a chance to consent. Let me know down in the comment section. I welcome your comments and your suggestions. Also, thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are all awesome. And also, Corey Bronco Flores here is our winner of this week's giveaway. Remember, this month, we're giving a lot of stuff away. Corey, you won the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 5 film collection. Please get with me. Please let me know. Message me on social media so that I can send this out to you. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters, and of course, all of our members. And our this is not the newest member thing. We actually have a new member, which is Dravwalker. And so thank you to Dravwalker, who is awesome and has now joined the Poindexter Lounge membership. And with membership, you get all kinds of cool, fun stuff, including videos early. Well, look for our full spoiler review. And then also Matt Jarbo and I at some point are going to sit down and we're going to hash out what we think of Wonder Woman 84. He is against it, has been very vocal about that online. And you'll hear my review when we do our spoiler review here coming up. Until next time, my name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, saying be good to each other, treat each other well, be careful what you wish for. We'll see you next time. Stay nerdy.